Oh, we also have Erin Kimmel here. She will also support. She's a MyTech digital coach. All the EdTech specialists who are on this webinar right now. Ooh, Peter's here too. So all of the EdTech people who are here are really awesome. Utilize them. Again, there are a lot of people on this call, so if we don't get to your questions right away, don't panic. We haven't forgotten about you. Okay. Just gonna do one last check of some stuff here and we will get started. Okay, so you might be wondering what EdPuzzle is. If you didn't read that brief description, EdPuzzle is an interactive video tool. So any videos that you're gonna show, you can add questions, you can trim it, you can add voiceovers, all of that good stuff. And it's awesome. I've also been using EdPuzzle for a couple of years and it made having a flipped classroom possible for me. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get started getting started on EdPuzzle. Before I do that, I just wanna direct your attention to the Q&A doc. So I'll go ahead and show you this. In this Q&A doc, once a couple of people leave, you'll be able to see that you can sign in. There's also this one pager. So if you, in a couple days, are making an EdPuzzle video and you forget how to do something, there's tons of tutorials on that resource page. There's also tutorials that you can share with students for the student side of things. And you can also see your EdTech digital coach, along with there being a survey at the end that you can complete. Again, if you have questions, please drop them in the chat or in the Q&A document. So first step is I would love it if everybody went to edpuzzle.com. So you'll see that I'm already logged into mine. And I'm going to give us a few minutes here to get signed up. So you're just going to click this blue sign up button. And you are a teacher. And I would recommend you sign in with Google. So once you sign in with Google, it'll ask you to verify all of your DPS stuff. It'll ask you some information about your school, your location. It is pretty step-by-step. If you have questions or are running into any issues, please use this time, ask them now. We've got tons of help on the line.
Do we need a referral code?
You won't need a referral code for this session.
Drea?
Peter, what's up?
Is there a class code that people should be using?
No, I'm not having them sign into any of my classes.
Thanks.
So if it's asking you for a class code, you might have signed in as a student. Make sure you are clicking sign in as a teacher.
Mike's off.
So guys, make sure everybody has their mic turned on.
I'm trying to scroll down to put it in that I'm a math teacher, and I'm having a problem doing that on the EdPuzzle.
Okay, what problem are you running into?
I'm trying to scroll down so I can choose math as my title.
And it's just not letting you scroll?
No.
Go ahead and
And
refresh your
it's
page.
stuck on computers. So go ahead and do what?
Go ahead and refresh your page, see if that helps.
Okay.
Oops.
So if you are still logging on, that is okay. I'm going to go ahead and get started talking about some of the features of EdPuzzle. Go ahead and keep doing what you're doing. Remember, this is being recorded and will be put on the remote learning website for future use. Go ahead and keep asking questions in the chat and in the Q&A document. Real fast, I saw a quick question pop up about the pro version. Well, DPS does not have a license for this. Most of the major EdTech companies are offering premium trials for free right now. So EdPuzzle is one of those. I will make sure that I get the free code for EdPuzzle in there in the Q&A doc at the very end. So when you sign in, if you sign in with Google, you just hit this sign in button. I'm going to make sure that I select my .NET account and not my personal Gmail. And then it will take me to a page that looks like this. So this is my homepage landing. And because I said that I was a history or social studies teacher, it's going to give me some videos that are currently trending in history and social studies. It'll do the same thing for the rest of these content areas. So when I'm looking for a video, I have two options. I can use this search content bar up here at the top if I know the title of my video. So as of right now, EdPuzzle doesn't search for tags like YouTube does. So I typically will find my videos on YouTube and then get the exact title of that video and search it in the search bar. If I just search for a generic thing, my video might not pop up because, again, it's not showing me all of those tags. If I don't know and I want to browse through EdPuzzle, I can look through these popular channels here. So maybe I know that I want some sort of TED Talk. I can browse through all of these TED Talks, but I know a lot of people don't have time for a whole lot of browsing. So I can also search for things within TED Talk. So I know I want a specific TED Talk, and I know it has the word equal in it. That apparently doesn't exist. So, but I can search just directly in that TED Talk channel. So Imagine is a better one. Here are all of the ones where the title includes Imagine. Again, tags will not work here. So once I find my video, I'm just going to choose one here. I can select it, and I can hit this edit button. Now, this is where I can start editing the video for what is going to tailor best to my class. So crash course video is a great example of one that I would probably trim down. So typically I want a very small chunk of a crash course video. I don't want them to watch the entire 15 minutes. I can go ahead and crop my video by dragging these black bars here.
Last 5 years.
And that will start or end the video separately. Now, EdPuzzle has recently come up with some really awesome updates. I can use this add cut feature. So let's say I want the beginning of the video and the end of the video. I can add a cut and cut out this middle part, and then it'll just fuse all of the not cut out material together. So that is super cool. I can also add a voiceover. So this is going to replace the existing audio with my voice. So this is something that I use when I have a video that has some awesome graphics, but maybe has no explanation, or maybe the explanation is in a different language. So my world language teachers, you can record voiceovers in your language of study if you would like to. But you can record voiceover over a certain section. This is also a new update. EdPuzzle is now letting you record voiceovers just for certain sections where it used to be the whole video's audio was replaced with a voiceover. So now I can just do very specific sections are recorded voiceovers. Then I'm going to get to my questions. This is my favorite part of EdPuzzle. I use multiple choice questions like it's nobody's business because they're auto-graded and it's great. I'm going to talk all about integrations later. EdPuzzle is one of the only platforms that I've seen have a legit integration with Schoology, and it makes my heart melt. So when I'm adding questions to a video, these are going to be my quick checks for understanding for students. So as I'm watching the video, I can play it through, and when I decide that I want to add in a question, I just hit one of these buttons. So I have 3 options. Multiple choice questions will give me it'll start with 2 options, and then I can add answer options below that. I can have students respond to an open-ended question, which is where they type in text, and I can also just put a note on there. I would usually do notes just to say hey, make sure you put this in your notebook, or make sure that you really understand this concept. Go back and rewatch if you don't. So multiple choice questions, I start with my question up here. And then I can add answer choices. So I can up the rigor if I want by adding some really good distractors, or maybe I'm just seeing if they were not sleeping during this video. Whatever checks you're looking for, this is how you can really customize it to fit your needs and your students. So I can do answer A and answer B. If I want to add another answer choice, I just hit this button. And the cool thing about this is I can also make it a multiple choice. So I can click as many green check marks, that means that's the correct answer, as I would like to. And then I can go back and change it to an incorrect answer if I would like to. Then I just go ahead and hit save.
Traveling.
And then I can continue to watch the video as it progresses, and add questions as I need to.
Traveling across Asia.
So I'm going to go back for a hot second. The other thing I really like is that I can add feedback. So I do this for incorrect options a lot of the time so that students really understand why that was not the correct answer. It's totally optional, and it will show the feedback for all answer options. So if you have feedback for the correct one and they get it wrong, they'll still see that feedback for the correct option choice when they go in and take the quiz. As you continue along,
To those places that hold the world.
open-ended questions are the same thing. So I can type in a stem or a prompt. I hit save, And again, it auto saves. Another one of EdPuzzle's features that just came out is you can stack questions now. So if I wanted to, when a section hits, I can ask 4 different questions if I want to. I don't have to wait till different like sections of the video if there's natural pauses that you want to take advantage of. So these are my editing features. I am going to pause for questions real fast before I start talking about how I can publish my video, get it out there, and how I can look at other educators' EdPuzzle videos. So as of right now, are there any questions for me?
Can it says it asks if you can link it to Google Classroom, but then it gives you a 2-part question. One says like, yes, I've gotten all the permission slips, or no, I don't need to. Which do we do?
I always say, yes, I've gotten the permission slips, just so that there's nothing that blocks my way. But you don't need to.
Well, the no says, yeah, I don't need to because the students are a certain age or something. So maybe that's.
So if you have students that are above the age of 13, then you don't need to collect parent permission slips for them to use apps like EdPuzzle or Google Classroom.
Okay.
If I want to use a video that's not in EdPuzzle from YouTube, can I add it to EdPuzzle?
Are you asking about a video that's not in YouTube at all?
No, I'm sorry. Let's more specifically TED Talks. Like there's a TED Talk I really like, but I don't see it in EdPuzzle.
Are you searching for the exact title?
Yes, and the exact person.
I'm going to hit pause on that, Ian,
Okay.
and we'll get back to you because I need to troubleshoot that a little bit more.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for me before I move on?
Are you going to show us how to connect this to Schoology? You
I
said
absolutely am.
Yay.
Hey, Drea, there was just a quick question in the Q&A about, do students have to have an EdPuzzle account? Do they sign into something in order to access these videos?
That depends, and I'm going to talk about it momentarily.
Great.
Hey, I just troubleshooted for Ian. Ian, if you take a YouTube link and you search that link code into EdPuzzle, it will pull up with the video. I just did one of our random ones that we made this morning. It's brand new to YouTube, has like 10 views, and it came up right away.
And do you think I can do the same thing with TED Talks?
Yeah, so find the YouTube link and drop that link into the EdPuzzle search, and should have come up with it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Luke. Any other questions? Cool. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the process for publishing my video and making sure that students have access it. So once I'm done editing, I just hit this finish button. And then it's going to automatically save it to my account. So I can always access it later through this content button. And then I just go to my content. And all of the videos that I've made or copied will end up right here. So if I want to assign a video, what I'm going to do is I just click on that video. Notice this is the same page I was at before. So if I just click finish and I want to assign from there, I can totally do that. And then I hit the assign button. And so here's where it starts to branch off. You have 3 options for administering your EdPuzzle videos. If you're already using Google Classroom, you can assign them through Google Classroom. If you are already using Schoology, you can assign them through Schoology. And if you are not using any of those platforms, you can push out these videos and create classes in EdPuzzle specifically. If you would like to make a class in EdPuzzle, because you need classes in order to assign the video, you go to My Classes, and then if you have no classes, you won't see any of these on the side, but you can hit this Add New Class button and see Google Classroom pops up right away. Note, you do not need to make classes for your Schoology courses. So if you're planning on integrating this into Schoology, you do not need to make classes. It will automatically copy over once you get that app integrated into Schoology. I'm gonna save that for last because getting the app installed is a little bit of a challenge. However, it is so great when you have everything installed. It's super easy running, and it's one of the only like legit app integrations I've seen with Schoology in a long time. So I hit this Create New Class. I can enter in the class name, and then my description can be the course subject. It can be whatever you want it to be. You have two options then for class types. Your classic version is going to give you access to all of the EdPuzzle features through the Gradebook and tracking student progress. Open is just going to allow students to watch the video and interact with it with the multiple choice questions, but it won't give you that same Gradebook functionality. So I'll go ahead and do a classic type. You just create that class, and then I invite my students. So all students need to do is I can either drop this link, send it to them via email, or tell them in some way, whatever way you're communicating with them, that they're going to go to edpuzzle.com, sign in as a student, and enter this class code. And that will insert them into the correct class. If you have classes on Google Classroom, I just select that Google Classroom button, and it's going to bring up all of the courses I have in my Google Classroom with this same account. So make sure that you are definitely using your .NET account, you're using your DPS accounts, because if you have Google Classroom stuff on a personal account, or you're on your personal account and your Google Classroom stuff is on your .NET, your classes aren't going to link up together. So then I can just go through and select all of the classes that I want, and then I just hit that import classes and a list of my students' imports. Again, for Schoology, you won't need to do any sort of actual course creation. And I will go through that process of getting that app installed in a hot second. Because in Schoology, you do everything besides the video creation through Schoology. So kids don't actually leave the platform for it. So once I have that, I can go back to my content, select my video, and assign it. Here I can put my due date on it. I also don't have to put a due date on it if I don't want to. So let's say I want this due on the 10th. You can also edit the hour. Let me get rid of you down here. So that's good for if your school has decided to keep lesson times at the same time. If you want to make sure that the EdPuzzle video is due at the end of that lesson, you can adjust the hour and minute there. Now here's another feature that I love is the prevent skipping option. So when this is toggled on, so right now it's on because it has that green check mark. That means that students can't skip through the video. They have to watch the whole thing. So they can't just jump to all the questions, guess at all the questions, and then be done with it. There's also the turn on closed captioning. I recommend this if you've watched the closed captioning and made sure that the closed captioning is accurate. It just pulls the closed captioning that's provided through YouTube. EdPuzzle doesn't do any of its own closed captioning, and sometimes those closed captionings they're not great. So make sure you just preview it. And then if you are assigning things, so you can see that my Google Classroom buttons will have my Google Classroom icon right here. here, then I can go ahead. If I just assign it and I don't post, it's just going to make an assignment in that assignment category in Google Classroom. Whereas if I post, it'll also make an announcement or an update. I can post to as many classes as I want to. And then I just hit this assign button. You can see that I can also add that new class from the assign feature. Now you'll notice that because I've assigned this video, I can't edit it anymore. So if you are going through and you're like, oh man, I really want to get rid of that question now, once it's assigned, you'll have to duplicate the video, make changes to it, and then upload it. So it like locks it down once you assign it. So make sure that the videos that you're assigning are your like final product. Same thing as if you were to give out a worksheet and print it off. Like you can't just make changes to it. So yeah, then all of those are assigned and I can see them in my classes. So I can go through all of the classes, see which assignments I have, how many of my kids have turned them in off the fly. And that's that. So I'm going to go over the EdPuzzle gradebook, and then I will hit the Schoology integration.
Can I pause you for a second, Drea?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions around student data privacy and stuff. Can you cover the ATM real quick?
Yes. So this is one of the steps that you have to do to have the app integration with Schoology anyway. But if you are using any sort of digital tool, EdPuzzle included, you need to go to academictechnologymenu.dpsk12.org and put that tool on the ATM. So I go here. I go to district usage reporting. And then I go to the staff reporting tool. Log in with my DPS credentials. And then I can search for the tool that I'm using. EdPuzzle is here. Then you'll select, I use this tool, and you're good to go. If you are a Schoology school, and you do not currently have the EdPuzzle app, I will let you know, I'll show you what that looks like in a second. Your principal has to do this. So your principal has to put it on the ATM for a list of tools that are used throughout the school. Then they have to go through the app installation process. And that covers you with the student data privacy issues.
And that covers all students. So whether they're under 13 or over 13, as long as you do that on ATM, that will cover your butt. And we had one more question too here about, do you know if the integration for Google Classroom and Schoology is an either or can they use both with one class?
You can use both with one class, but it will separate the classes with an EdPuzzle, if that makes sense. It won't like combine classes. It won't say like, ooh, I see students who are like, that's the same student, I'm going to lump them in a class. What you'll do is you'll see the students will appear in this class and you'll have them in this course's gradebook, but then you'll also have them in your Schoology gradebook. And you can still use the export features for both of them, but you can't like cross them over, if that makes sense. Did that answer your question?
Thank you.
Any other quick questions before I get into the gradebook and then Schoology goodness? All right. So once my students watch videos, it gives me a whole bunch of reporting features and data on those videos in my gradebook. And so in order to access it, I just clicked on that Gradebook tab, and I use this drop down here to find the class that I want. And so once I'm on the class that I would like to be viewing, I can click on an assignment. So this is my overall gradebook. It'll have all of the assignments that I've ever posted, along with a list of my students, their scores, how much time they spent. It's a very basic overview. But if I want more specific details, I can click on the assignment, and then that will give me even more of a breakdown. So right now it's sorted by student. I can see that this student watched 100% of the video, and I've already graded it, so it'll show his grade. If you only have multiple choice questions, they'll auto grade, and so you'll just have all of these grades populated. If you have short answers that you have to grade, then you would go in, grade those, and then it'll populate that grade category here. And then it'll tell you the last time that that student watched it and when they turned it in. So you can see I can hover here, and it gives me even more details. If I want even more details, I can click on that student, and it'll give me this whole breakdown. So their grade, how much of the video they watched, how many responses they got correct, the time they spent on the assignment, when they turned it in. And then this is super cool for me, how many times a student rewatched a section. So as I'm watching an EdPuzzle video as a student, I get to a question, and if I'm confused by the question, or I'm like, ooh, I need to pull specific examples and go back and rewatch, there's a button at the bottom that says rewatch. So it'll tell me how many times that student watched the section. Then it'll go into detail about the questions and how this student answered. When I'm grading these, I have a few options. So I can click on this X button, and it'll default it to incorrect. It'll give you 0 points. I can click on the check mark button. It'll default to this is correct. It'll give you full points. Or I can click on the point value here, enter in a number of my choosing if I want to give partial credit, for example. So like this student only answered one of the 2 options. I want to give him partial credit for that. So I'm going to put in a 50%. And then that will save automatically. You can also see here, these little blips are questions. If it's green, that means it's correct. Yellow means that you've given partial credit, and red will mean incorrect. So I can go through and do this student at a time like this, but that's a lot. So if I wanted to, I can also sort it by question. So I'm back on that main video dash. I got there by clicking on the assignment title. When I go to my questions, I can see how many students answered questions correctly or incorrectly. And I can also choose questions and get a list of those answer options. When I have things to grade, it'll give me a big blue button that says X answers to grade. I can click that blue button, and it'll take me to the grading page so that I can just knock all of them out. When I edit my grades in any way, if I'm a Google Classroom user, because EdPuzzle will have you do the grading within EdPuzzle, I can hit this update on Google Classroom button, and it will update all of the students' grades. So it'll just filter them right into your gradebook, and it's really great. Again, if I am just operating off of EdPuzzle, all of that information will save in my gradebook.
Drea, if somebody submits it after the due date, does it just show up as late work?
Yes. So students will always be able to submit a video, but it will flag it as late.
Is there a way that I can make it out of the different number of points than 100?
Not for individual questions, no.
I've assigned 2 things as we've been going through this, and I didn't see an option to change the score of those assignments to anything but 100.
Right. So it won't let you do it out of anything else but 100. However, when your students start to submit it, that's when you'll be able to give them partial credit for stuff.
Okay, thanks.
Any other quick questions so far? So that is covered EdPuzzle grading, and with that, Google Classroom grading. Again, before I get into Schoology, I'm just going to show you what this looks like real fast through Google Classroom. So you'll see here I have my classes. I'm going to select the class. If I say, if I toggle on that update on Google Classroom, it will post right here in my stream. Otherwise, when I assign a video, it will be available in this classroom section. So we can see I've assigned a couple of EdPuzzle videos in my sample section. And then when I open up my gradebook, here are these EdPuzzle videos. And for my kids who have submitted them, I just hit that update Google Classroom button and it auto-filled in all of those grades. However, it will say this not turned in if they don't go back to the assignment and click like, yep, I'm done. But it will still give them the grade. Okay, I'm now going to get into the magic of Schoology. I am a big Schoology user, and I was when I was teaching. Oh, Beth, that's a really good question. Sorry, that just flagged for me. You would have to, I want to say yes, but let one of the people who's on the chat double check. I would assume that you would be able to resubmit. I've never come across that though. So great question, Beth. So for Schoology, again, all of these are on this resource page, these tutorials. You'll see that I've split these by Schoology, Google Classroom, and through EdPuzzle. So the first thing that you have to do if you are using Schoology and you want this app installed is you have to have your principal put EdPuzzle on the ATM and then request to DOTS that they install the app. Once that's done, you can go to your Schoology, and for all of your courses, when you hit Add Materials, you'll have this EdPuzzle block already installed for you. When you are assigning a video on Schoology through EdPuzzle, step 1, you have to create the video in EdPuzzle first. So you do all the editing, trimming, add your questions, blah, 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 in EdPuzzle. Once I'm ready to assign the EdPuzzle video, all I have to do is click on this. Again, I went to Add Materials, and then I'm just going to click on that EdPuzzle app. And the first time you connect, it's going to ask you to sign in with EdPuzzle. So you just sign in, use the sign in with Google button. It will connect your EdPuzzle account. And then here's all of the videos that I've made. So these are the videos that I am able to share with my students. So in order to assign them, I just hit this watch button. And then I can hit assign. And I also get the option to prevent skipping or turn on closed captioning. I make those adjustments, and then I hit assign. So then this is what appears. Now I'm going to make some edits to this. So I'm going to hit my gear icon, hit edit, and I want this to be a graded assignment. I'm going to hit this enable grading button. And maybe I don't want it to have the video title. I want to title it discussion pre-work. So this title that I give it here is what it's going to be named in my gradebook and what the students will see when they are looking at my page. You don't have to worry about any of this. Once I hit this enable grading button, I can select the point value I want it out of. So maybe I want this to be 5-point assignment. If I want to put a due date on it, I can put due date on it. I have to assign it a category. So I'm going to put this in classwork and make sure my grading period is good to go. Then I hit save changes. And here it is. So then once I have students complete some of the assignments, so all they'll have to do is click on this and it will open the video right there for them. So they'll be able to just hit play and go ahead and watch it and answer the questions and submit it, all within Schoology. Then what I'll see is my teacher dash. Again, I'm still on Schoology, but it's just pulling in that teacher dashboard that's available in EdPuzzle. I can do all of the same things. So I can look at individual student data. I can go through. Or I can look at a breakdown by question. And I can also grade all my responses. So if I had any ungraded responses, it would say 3 answers need grading, or 12 answers need grading, or 114 answers need grading, depending on how many short answer questions you put in there. Once I've graded everything, all I have to do to dump this in my gradebook is hit this Export Grades to LMS button. When I hit that, it's going to upgrades, and I'll be able to see it in my gradebook. And I have a whole lot of stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and filter this. Okay. So here was the video that we just watched. It added it to my gradebook. It made it out of the point value that I wanted. And it'll automatically insert those grades into my gradebook. Notice, though, that who has not completed it, so anybody who didn't submit a video, it's left blank. So it won't like autofill everybody with zeros. Though if I wanted to, I could just go down and mark all of my empty cells as missing. Questions? No questions?
I think we're doing good. Luke's knocking
was
out
just-
questions in the Q&A doc, and we're
Well, I
up to
guess I
date
have a
on-
question. Do you know if there's anyone that has expertise on using EdPuzzle with elementary students? And will there be like a next workshop for this, maybe?
So this workshop is really about just the basics of EdPuzzle. What I would recommend is looking at who your digital coach is. So again, you can use this Q&A doc right here. Who's your EdTech digital coach? Use that to figure out who your support person is, and that person will work with you in order to figure out like what your content needs are, how you can integrate this with your students and your grade level. Did that answer your question, Michael? Okay.
Yes, that did. Thank you.
Drea, I have a question for you. I was thinking, so my role is an interventionist, and I have 2 students who are newcomers to our country who speak nothing but Spanish. My math teacher is going to be creating videos through Screencast-O-Matic, and I'd like to take those videos. Can I translate over them in Spanish?
Yes. So what you would do is you would take those videos from the math teacher, go ahead and upload them to YouTube. So when I upload videos to YouTube, I always do unlisted, so you can't just like randomly find it in the search. But then you can take that video, use the link to search in the search feature in EdPuzzle, and then you're going to go ahead and do a voiceover. And that voiceover is going to allow you to replace the original audio with your audio.
Thank you.
Of course.
So I have a quick question. Hold on, babe. I have a quick question for you. Hold on a second. I'm distracted. Hold on a second.
No, you're so fine.
Oh, I know it now. Okay, so we are looking at trying to get a lot of videos for the kids, like how-to videos for some of the new technology, like how to check your Google Mail, things like that. Maybe they're not familiar with. Is there anything EdPuzzle's done, since this is a video repository, about like how to do EdPuzzle for the first time, like an intro video for the kids?
So there should be a resource for that. If it's not linked in the page, I will go ahead and link it there, because I know 100% that I've made one for students to use EdPuzzle. If you want to tailor instructions so that students know exactly, like, use this code, you can also do that through Screencastify or whatever your recording preferences are. But yes, there should be a video in that EdPuzzle resources, the student tutorial. And that should show them how to answer questions and interact with the tool. Please feel free to share that with students.
Thank you.
Of course.
Drea, I have a question.
Alrighty.
So when I went into EdPuzzles, I noticed that my school already had folders in there. However, when I go into Schoology and I look for add materials, it doesn't pop up. So I'm feeling I have a mixed signal, because I don't know if maybe they have, other teachers have tried to create it individually, or why would I not see it linked into Schoology?
So you can definitely use EdPuzzle on your own. This is probably what's been happening is your teachers at your school are using EdPuzzle. However, they're using it through the EdPuzzle platform and they're not using the integration tool. So you would still have to go through the process of having your principal approve the app on the ATM, and then requesting that app integration through DOTS.
Okay, thank you very much.
Of course.
Drea, how long that process you just explained about our principal, how long will that take?
It depends on how responsive your principal is to getting that request in there. I've had it turned on same day for some schools. So as long as like principal gets it on the ATM, sends in that request to DOTS, if you know that request has been sent in, and you haven't heard anything, let me know and I will see what's up with it.
I have a question.
Alrighty.
Oh, great. Given the dire needs that we're in right now, is it possible to bypass that and just have the tech coaches and DOTS to just go ahead and push this one out for us so we don't all have to bombard DOTS with the same request?
That was the first thing that I asked when all of this came out. Like, are we still going to have to push that app integration tool? The answer is yes, because that's how we make sure that we're in compliance with our student data privacy.
Okay, thanks.
You had a quick question about the questions that you put into the videos.
All right, let's go.
Do you choose the time print that you put in each question? I saw they were spaced out at different times throughout the video. So can you choose wherever you want to put the question?
Yes, you can. So there are two ways to do this. You can either drag the question across the time bar, and it'll place it at that spot on the time bar, or you can be watching the video. This is how I do it. When I get to a spot where I want to insert a question, I just hit pause and then add that question, and it'll add it where I paused.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Of course. Do you have any other questions?
One more, Joy, sorry.
No
So
worries.
going back to the academic technology menu that we have in order to, list this for privacy issues, where again did you say we need to search in order to add this to our menu of technology that we use?
So what you'll do is okay, perfect. You will, let me log in real fast so I can show you. So once you click on this district usage reporting tool, you hit the staff reporting tool. Go ahead and log in. And then right here, if you scroll down just a little bit before you get into all of the app icons, you can use this search bar and search for EdPuzzle or whatever other applications you're using. And then it should pop up here. You'll hit yep, I use these tools. And then it should be added to your selected technologies.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course. Any other questions I can answer? All right, so if you have questions that come up as you're using it, please reach out to me or your digital coach. And I wouldn't put any more questions and answers in the question and answer document unless you're in the session. I just don't know how often that's being checked up on. But do please keep this resource page for your own use. Share it with whoever you need to share it with. And yeah, we're here to help. So good luck, and you've got this. Remember, go slow to go fast. So if all of this is a little bit overwhelming, take it in chunks. You can start with one section at a time. That's fine. Do what you need to do, and we as an ed tech team are here to help you.
Drea, there's also a link to our EdTech feedback survey in the chat. If folks could just give us some quick feedback on the session, that'd be awesome.
Yes, if you would like to leave me such positive feedback, that would be amazing. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and exit the chat. I actually have another session that I'm presenting in about 5 minutes. I know y'all have other sessions to get to. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate all of the active engagement that people were showing, the excitement for this tool. Remember, you're gonna be great. You're gonna rock it. We're here to support you. Please fill out the feedback link if you have a second. Thank you.